So, Loretta, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you, sir. How have you been?
That's a very serious Loretta. Loretta never talks so seriously. What is this?
Loretta is serious when Loretta is serious.
Loretta is serious when
It's,
it's recording.
it's part of the emotional intelligence of a mediator,
Okay, for a moment, I'll say let's erase the recording and live streaming from there. Okay, we want that other Loretta back. Loretta went Fola. Hi Fola. Hi Fola. I mean, This is the online Fola. But Loretta just went different. I said, "How are you, Fola?" Loretta, and she's like, "Serious. I'm okay." Like that kind of thing. Just forget it's recorded. Forget that we are live. Please, Loretta, just forget about it. You have to be you.
No, I am actually. I am.
No, I know you. I know you. You're a different person. You're nice and bubbly and everything. I don't like the serious look at all. So
I
what's
have
going
a serious look. I didn't even notice.
Okay, so what you're gonna do? What you're gonna do, Fola? We'll have to, of course, start with you telling us about yourself and all the good things that you're doing in relation to mediation and the business of mediation, which is another session we are going to be doing later in the conference. So please, Fola.
Okay. In the spirit of being a gentleman, I would rather say ladies first. So,
She's not going to
so
let
let's
her
start with
mentor talk later.
no.
She's like,
Let's start with her first. Then I'll go second.
Okay, Loretta.
If you
Loretta,
don't mind.
please.
Loretta, over to you. Yeah.
It's good I'm going first because my mentor, in fact, I actually have to say it loudly for anyone who cares to listen to hear it very well, because I'm actually here today because of my mentor. So you are going to be hearing mentor. This topic I also chose for this conference was influenced by my mentor. He actually trained me for 9 hours last year in November. I remember very well. So good evening, everyone. My name is Loretta Nase Kiagba. I'm an attorney mediator, a mediation advocate, and a community manager. I'm the founder of FENA Mediation and Dispute Resolution Services. Sorry, NEPA just took light, so that distracted me for a bit. I was trained by Fortifa Mediation Academy after obtaining my certificate from the Institute of Conciliation and Mediation Center in Abuja, ICMC. Mr. Fola trained me from his academy for over a year. Yes. And then I was able to launch my own mediation firm, a dispute resolution firm online, basically. And I've been taking a lot of professional courses here and there to improve myself. And also, I've been involved in my private practice for a while right now. I'm combining that with the community work I'm doing for a tech company. And what else? Yeah, basically, that's been my journey. And I hope to, continue to grow. And then Vikram has been like a very big part of my life too, because most of the international trainings or conferences I've attended, he's been the one facilitating all those things for me. So I don't take that for granted at all. And my mentor, yes, I'm able to say things confidently now because Mr. Fola actually pushed me out of my comfort zone. I remember very well how difficult it was, when I started this mediation. Yeah, it was actually difficult for me to communicate effectively. I knew everything I had to say, but I wasn't really confident enough to say those things. But with the help of Mr. Fola, I was able to just come out of my shell and then do certain things, So these days, I'm more comfortable, talking about mediation and other topics as well. So thank you very much.
And let's just say hi to Anna also. Hi, Anna. Anna's run away. Anna, why have you run away?
Hi, Vikram.
How are
Just
you?
a moment.
Yeah.
Fine. I want to enter from my computer.
No problem, no problem. Yeah, come in later.
Mhm.
But only thing, look, Loretta, you haven't told us the most important part, that you're the mother of a very cute little girl, Kiki. What about you? You can't forget Kiki.
My young mediator, Kiki just went herself. She's actually with her grandmother. I had to beg her to, excuse me for today. So she might come around maybe in the process of all of this. Oh, Kiki, thank you very much.
But okay, so what we'll do is first we'll just say hi to Anna. Anna,
Yeah, hello, Anna. How are you?
Hello, dear
Hello,
colleagues.
Anna.
Thank you. I'm fine. I'm really glad to see you. Thank you, Vikram, for invitation to your conference. Thank you for this possibility and for such an honor for me.
How is this working, Badana? This shows you're muted. I see another Anna,
Yes.
Anna there. How's that working?
Because I'm at home now and there are many people at home. So I entered from the notebook. I see you on the notebook, but I hear you from the phone with
Wow.
such an interesting construction.
Exactly, because this is the first time you see someone is showing muted, but actually you hear the sound. Okay, that's an interesting one. So basically, okay, Loretta is from Nigeria. Fola is from Nigeria. Loretta has just told us about herself and all the good things that Fola has done for her. Fola is her mentor. He's doing very interesting things there. But I would have wanted actually Loretta to tell us what good things Fola is doing, because Fola is not going to say all the good things. So
Yes,
Loretta, what all is Fola doing?
He's not going to say all the good things.
Yeah, so please tell us all the good things he's doing.
Fola is actually in fact he has made a community of mediators. He has built a lot of talents. He has raised so many people. I remember how it's funny how this journey started, because I reached out to him on Instagram. I was looking for a mediator to be my mentor, because I knew litigation wasn't really my thing. So I had to look for someone who was going to walk me through this journey. And I reached out to him. He replied immediately. And I remember these sessions we're always having on Instagram. I would just come in, listen to everybody speak. And I think I kind of influenced his decision to have like a mentorship program, because after I reached out to him, he discovered a lot of people were also reaching out to him. I actually launched that part of comment session where I asked him, how do young people who have been trained in mediation go about, their businesses? How do they break into the industry? I kind of asked him questions, and he said, okay, do you know a multi-door courthouse in Lagos? I said, yeah. He said, okay, I should go there and volunteer. But I knew that I had not done any mediation before, so it was going to be kind of difficult for me. And when this whole academy started, I remember I was the first person to click on that link, because I can still go through my Telegram now to see my name there as the first. So I actually stressed his life, even though he would tell me, it's okay. I knew I was harassing him at that time, because I just wanted to grow. And he was willing to, let me grow and everything. And I can tell you for a fact, everything I'm going to talk about emotional intelligence today is from the lessons, the trainings I had with him last year. He sponsored me for a training last year. It lasted for 9 hours. He stood for 9 hours lecturing. I was looking at him. At a point, I was sleeping in class because I got tired. But my mentor was on his toes lecturing. I was there trying to sleep in class because I was tired. I just told myself, if someone who is older than me can go through this, stress to impact knowledge into young people and like mine, I don't know what I should be doing with myself if I'm not there to, learn. And that was how, I got my training. And, he has been training other people as well. I'm not the only person.
Okay.
I can tell you for a fact. Even the mediation conference I organized on my birthday, there were people who were mentioning Fola, and I was so proud to say, that's my mentor, you know, because most people don't know the impact they are making on young people. When you see mentors like that, you see people who you look up to and the things they do, you know, he doesn't really care. In as much as he stresses, oh, I'm about the business, it's not true. The passion is there, true and true. And he loves to see that people who are serious about mediation really know what they are out there doing, and they really know what they ought to do at the right time. So I can tell you for a fact that he's one of the best hands we have in Nigeria right now. I'm not even saying it because he's here. It's something I say everywhere, you know, because anytime I listen to him, I get something new. I can actually talk about mediation now, even if I'm not looking at something. Why? Because those words are just stuck somewhere in my brain. I was able to attend like over 70 trainings between 2020, 2021.
Fola, tell me when it's enough.
True, you can go to his YouTube page.
No, we go to Fola now. We go to Fola now. Okay,
the
thank you,
evidence is there. I'm not even saying it because it's here. The evidence is right there on his YouTube page. If you go to Fortify Mediation Academy, you will find everything there. Like, it's a mini course.
Okay, yes,
it's something that we should even turn it to Google something to be collecting some few dollars.
We'll take this clip. Fola will take this clip out separately and we'll put it everywhere. Now you tell me, should I mute people or not? Should I not mute them? Okay, but what we'll do is, okay, Fola is going to tell us about himself. Then Anna will come to you. So Fola, please.
Wow, I'm truly humbled, Loretta, and words fail me. So usually when I become shy, I just start smiling. So at least if there is any consolation, is that because I always try to make people understand one thing, that life sometimes is always beyond money. It's always about making an impact. So I'm truly humbled I'm able to make an impact on one person. So Loretta, thank you so very much. I truly appreciate this. So my name is Fola Lade. I'm an attorney mediator. I'm a mediation advocate, and I'm also an emotional intelligence specialist. So what I do is that, unlike most mediators, my own style of mediation is powered by emotional intelligence, because I've seen how important emotion is in the scheme of things. I'm also the principal partner of Fortefa Partners. It's a bespoke commercial mediation firm. We do only mediation there. So, and I'm also the founder of Fortefa Mediation Academy. I like to call it an IKEA Mediation Academy. What we do is that we empower people with the requisite skills of resolving disputes on their own. We believe everyone has a mediator in him. You have that mediation inside of you. So what we basically try to do is to bring out that mediation in you, harness it, and make you and make you resolve disputes on your own without necessarily having to be certified as a mediator. And I'm also the founder of Fortify Mentorship Academy. I think it's the first of its kind in Africa, where we boast of over 160 mentees. What we do there is to mentor people on the business and practice of mediation. So here in Africa, when I started off, I noticed a lot of the people in mediation were within a certain age bracket, from 50s and all that. And the general conversation I would have with young people would be like, I'm interested in mediation. I want to come into mediation, but I see that only people in mediation are the old people. And I just made up my mind to start mentoring them, to teach them mediation. So I dare say that I'm in the process of grooming the next generation of mediators. So what I try to do is to pick them when they're young, and mold them and teach them the ways and practice of mediation. And I dare say, since we started 2-3 years ago, we've been able to give them like a trajectory of some sort on how to start, make some of them specialize, and it's an ongoing process where we are constantly talking about mediation. So I think that's me in not too many words. And apart from that, again, too, I also mediate with the United Nations, and I belong to over 10 multi-door courthouses in Nigeria, and I also train for some international organizations around the world.
Well,
So
Fola, this is not correct. Loretta missed out on Kiki. You missed out on the cycling. You're a cycling enthusiast. What about that part of you? You don't want to tell us about that?
okay, so s- I accidentally stumbled upon cycling 2 years ago, and by default, I'm very, very hyperactive. And I just noticed I knew I needed an outlet to burn energy. And the thing about cycling for me is that it makes me think when I'm on the wheels and we are going. So I've been able to imbibe it as a way of life. I tell anybody that cares to listen that it's one of the fastest ways of being mentally alert. It's like life itself. This morning I've actually cycled 30 kilometers before coming in here today. So it's now a way of life, and it's basically what I do to just keep mind, body, and soul together. Thank you.
Perfect. So, mediation a way of life, cycling a way of life.
Oh yes, it
Perfect.
is.
Anna, please. I'm sorry to keep you waiting, but Fola is an interesting person, so we had to hear lots about him. Yes, Anna.
Everything is okay. Thank you, colleagues. My name is Anna Dushkova. Oh, I have several slides. I can share with them on the screen.
Yeah,
Is it possible?
it is possible only after first you tell us about yourself. Then everything is possible.
Okay. 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 My name is Anna Dushkova. I'm a mediator. I'm a lawyer, attorney at law. I'm a trainer on communication skills and emotional intelligence. So I began to interest in mediation and emotional intelligence in 2016, 17. And that time I understood such a thing how is important such a thing as emotional intelligence, and how which an important role it plays in the general successful of our life, in the job, in the family life, in the personal life, in common in general. So I provide and develop, created with my colleague several online courses. Online course for the adults on communication skills and emotional intelligence, and online course for the children, for the pupils of the schools, where we study them how to communicate peacefully with their friends, how to develop their communication skills, social skills. And while providing and conducting these trainings, and we conduct such trainings for different kind of auditorium audience, I'm sorry. We did such trainings for the judges, we did such trainings for the lawyers, for the private and local advocates. We did such trainings for the representatives of the sphere, educational sphere. In the 12th of May, we had such a training for the representatives of the IT sphere, because of the crisis situation in Ukraine, which is because of the war in our country, because of the war between Russia and Ukraine. Many of people feel depression, feel stress, so it is necessary. So we did such a suggestion for the representatives of the IT sphere, and they agreed. While conducting this training, we understood that such an important for the people to support each other and to work with their emotional state, with their emotions, because it is necessary to keep balance, not because of the war especially, but in general, it is necessary to take care of your emotional state and your emotions, because every day we communicate with the people, these people alive with their own emotions and with their own experience in different spheres. And sometimes this communication isn't very good, happens not very successful and ecological. So if we want to grow up in the non-toxic environment, it is necessary to take care, first of all, about your own self-regulation and self-awareness.
Perfect.
So I suppose that such meetings on the conferences with the topics emotional intelligence and mediation are very important, not only for our colleagues mediators, but for all the people, beginning from the children and ending with the adults.
Perfect. Thank you. But also you have to tell us that, yes, you are living in Spain, and also tell us how your husband is. Has he come? Is he all right?
Yes, he's okay. Thank you. I didn't tell, sorry, my colleagues, that I'm from Ukraine, from such a nice city, Odessa. And in the March, I had to evacuate it from my city to Europe. Yes, because it wasn't safe to stay there because of the Russian attack and Russian bombs, which will fall down on our peaceful cities and peaceful civilian people, children, and it is a terrible and cruel war which had to feel exhausted, many of Ukrainian people. So and because of this situation especially, I feel the such a interest and needs to help Ukrainian people and to provide such a emotional intelligence trainings very often on like a volunteer. So I don't take charge and fees for such webinars and trainings, because I understand that many people don't have money to pay for such trainings on webinars, and but they feel really emotionally exhausted. And I, as the Ukrainian civilian people, understand that I can't help our country while fighting, because I'm not the military, I'm not a man, I didn't even take in my hands a weapon anytime, but I can do trainings, but I can teach. I have knowledge, skills, experience, and I can share with this knowledge. So I could be useful in this field like a emotional intelligence trainer and specialist.
Perfect. Now, what we are going to do is we'll actually focus on emotional intelligence in relation to mediation. And of course, not the larger benefits and all that. So we'll focus on that. And it's okay with Loretta and Fola if Anna starts. She has some slides she want to show. Is it all right with both of you? Yes. Fola hasn't said yes. Fola said yes.
Yeah, sure.
Yes, Anna. Anna,
Yes.
Anna, please.
Please go on. Thank you.
Once more, repeat, please. Question.
Yeah, you start. You wanted to show some slides to us.
Some slides. Oh, thank you. These slides are about the emotional intelligence, about the structure, if you want, or but if the colleagues want to start first of all, I can.
They've actually told you to start first. They thought you were showing us slides of Odessa, and that, but you were showing us slides of of emotional intelligence. No problem. Please. Go ahead, Anna, please.
Do you want slides
later,
from Odessa?
Later. We'll do that later. Okay.
Sorry, didn't send you correctly. Okay, I will show you several slides, but these slides were from me. This is about me, who I am. I didn't told that I'm really not only trainer, lawyer, and mediator. I'm a family mediator and a member of Association of Family Mediators of Ukraine. I'm also a mediator of Odessa Private School and Lyceum Mria. So I work with the school conflicts. And I am author and the co-author of training courses, programs, and trainings. And in Odessa, I had my own mediation office. About emotional intelligence, I suppose, dear colleagues, all of you know the structure and emotion of the emotional intelligence and how it is important in our life. And scientific researchers proved that 80% of our success in life depends on our emotional intelligence, not depends of the IQ, but EQ. Emotional, sometimes in different sources it calls not emotional intelligence, emotional coefficient. So the person who first, I suppose, began to use such a definition as emotional intelligence was Daniel Goleman. I suppose you know him, and his great work, a great book, which calls the same, Emotional Intelligence. He founded this definition in 80s years. of last century. So it was the request of big and huge corporation companies. So because of the big staff, big number of workers on the companies, it was necessary to choose the best workers on their factories, on their industrial companies, and the owners, HR workers wanted such a test which could help them to choose the best candidates, the best workers on the companies, on the corporation, on the corporations. So the Daniel Goleman, when he was the psychologist and the scientific journalist, he wrote this book with the definition of emotional intelligence, and he told that the emotional intelligence, this is such a thing which consists of which first of all help us to understand us, our emotional state, our emotions. And emotional intelligence, this is such a thing which help us to communicate with our emotions, to work with our emotions, to regulate our emotions. And when we begin to understand our emotions, we begin to understand other people. When we begin to communicate and regulate our emotions, emotional states, we begin to communicate better with other people because we begin to understand their emotions and their emotion states. So this is several sides about emotional intelligence, and this is the structure about the emotional intelligence. And the best for me, I suppose, this slide, because the foremost things of the emotional intelligence, these are self-awareness, yes, this is caring about our understanding, first of all, our emotional state and our emotions. Because there are, I suppose, and as far as I know, there are about 100 emotions exist, more than 100 emotions in the general. And when I conduct trainings, I always ask my students, do you know how many emotions really we have and we feel in our body? People always say 4, 5, 10, maximum 20. But there are much more emotions. I always tell them that there are more than 100 emotions. And here I have another question for the students. And do we all use all these emotions in our emotional vocabulary while communicating with the people? Do we use all these emotions and speak about all these emotions? The second thing, this is social awareness, yes. Self-management, the second thing, self-management or self-regulation or self-control, when we start to do different things using our body, yes, or using our body or our cognitive possibilities, and begin to control our emotions. The next thing, third thing, this is social awareness, which is the main thing here is empathy. When we, during our own experience, during our own emotions, begin to understand other people much more better. And if you, dear colleague, will want, I will show next a bit later a small video about empathy. Such a author of this video, Brené Brown, this is a French scientist, yes, and she spoke too much and wrote a book about the empathy. And the last thing, fourth thing, which includes part of the emotional intelligence, the fourth part, these are social skills or relationship management. When in this part, we begin to build communication with other people using three other parts, yes, self-awareness, management, and social awareness. We began to build social communications with other people. Yes, we use our such skills as a conflict management, leadership, different social skills, and communicate with other people. So I suppose perhaps I speak too much. Perhaps anybody wants to tell too. And if you want, colleague, I can a bit later show this video about the empathy. It is not very long, for several minutes.
Perfect. Thanks a lot, Anna. Very nice. But we'll now ask whoever, Loretta, Fola, whoever wants to take over from here. Fola, please.
Okay. Thank you so much, Anna, for a very beautiful session. So I'm just going to come in from another angle, and I will just delve into the importance of emotional intelligence in mediation, and I'm going to take this from a practical angle. So I remember how I accidentally stumbled upon emotional intelligence. There was this case I was handling 4 years ago between two companies. No, between an individual and a big company. And when the gentleman came for my session, he hired one of the best lawyers from one of the best law firms. And he made a statement. He said, Mr. Ladi, Mr. Fola, it's not about the money, it's about the principle. And I was wondering, I was like, why would you spend so much money getting a top lawyer, and the only thing you want from the session is for the other party to realize the wrong they have done and to apologize? You know, I'd never come across that kind of session before, where somebody would get a lawyer and just tell you the only thing I need is for you to acknowledge the fact that you wronged me and you should apologize. That was the only thing he wanted from the session. He didn't want money, he didn't want anything. And that was a journey that began my journey into mediation, into emotional intelligence. And I tell everyone that cares to listen that my own style of mediation is powered by emotional intelligence. And so when we talk about emotional intelligence, what do we really mean by emotional intelligence? Emotional intelligence is the way you think, is the way you feel, and is the way you act. Emotional intelligence can also be said to mean you being smart with your emotions. Now, how important is emotional intelligence with mediation? Now, let's understand the concept of mediation, which essentially has to do with an amicable resolution of disputes. Mediation is fact driven. We don't there's a reason why we don't use why there is no judge, because there's a belief that parties have to work towards an amicable resolution of the disputes in contention. Now, there's a reason why, and because it's basically fact driven, devoid of law per se, there's a tendency for parties to have emotions at play where mediation is concerned. So the mediator has to grapple between the merits of the case and the emotions of the case. And it's now left for the mediator to be able to balance both of them. And that is why emotional intelligence is very, very important when mediation is concerned. Now, very quickly, I'm going to share a slide. If I can, yeah, I'm just going to share this slide. 1 second, let me just activate my slide. And everything I'm going to be talking about will be within the framework of this slide. Now, so can you see my slide, Vikram?
Yeah.
Yes. So everything I'm going to be talking about is going to be all about these 4 sessions. Now, when we're looking at the synergy of, let's use the word, the synergy of mediation and emotional intelligence, it has to first of all do with a mediator understanding the emotions of the parties. You cannot ignore the emotions of the parties, because when a party comes and the party keeps saying he hurt my feelings, he did this, he did that, we cannot subsume everything. We cannot afford to put everything concerning disputes under the fact that maybe it has to be monetary and all of that. It's very important that as mediators we try to first of all identify the emotions behind the issues in contention. And you cannot identify the emotions when you don't first of all even understand where the parties are coming from. Now, the second one again has to do with, and within the framework of understanding the emotions, look at what this has to say. It says that understanding an emotion means the ability to comprehend emotional language and to appreciate the emotion. And for example, understanding emotions encompasses the ability to be sensitive to slight variations. You know, you see a party probably having his hands folded like this. It's indicative of something. You're probably speaking to the party. The party is probably tapping his or her leg on the floor. It's indicative of something. Because you see, before you can get through to someone, you need to first of all understand where the person is coming from. still within the framework of emotional intelligence is also managing emotions. People have different ways of reacting when they're angry, and people have different ways of accepting anger. For some people, when they see danger, they either flee, they freeze, or they take to flight. There's another one, I can't remember what the fourth one is. But you see, as a mediator, in between trying to have the disputes resolved amicably, it's very important to manage the emotions of parties. Managing the emotions of parties in the sense that, you see, when it comes to anger, anger is not instantaneous, Vikram. There are stages to how a communication can get blown out of proportion. Sometimes it starts off with the parties raising their voices. When they start raising their voices, as a mediator, you should have an idea that if this is not properly put in place, it might actually get blown out of proportion. So when you don't even understand emotional intelligence, how then do you want to know how to handle emotions? For some people, when they see people angry, they freeze. They freeze. And it's also very important that once you are able to get the parties to be at peace with each other, how well are you able to use the emotions you see in resolving disputes? So the ability of a mediator to harness emotions to facilitate various cognitive activities, such as thinking and problem solving, is one of the great features of a mediator. So now, one thing I try to do in most of my mediation sessions, especially when I'm introducing myself, is to make parties understand that this dispute we have is not between A and B. It's not between the responding party and the receiving party. It's between both of you and the problem. Because before this happened, there must have probably been a harmonious relationship between both of you. So what we are going to do together is to identify the problem and work towards resolving those issues. So most times what we try to do, and has always worked for me in most of my sessions, is to get parties to talk to each other and not talk at each other. So most times when party A speaks to me, I tell party A, why don't you say that to party B? So if I'm able to get both of them to talk to each other, it makes my work a lot easier, because you see, because they're speaking to each other, they're able to have an understanding of what the issues are. Because they're speaking to each other, I now become an umpire. An umpire in the sense that I just try to regulate emotions. When I see it's getting out of hand, I bring parties up together. Now, it's also very, very important for parties to understand that you cannot not communicate. Vikram, if I tell you to stand and you stand, you are communicating. Vikram, if I tell you to stand and you choose not to stand, Vikram, you're communicating. So one might be in defiance, one might be in obedience, but you cannot afford not to choose not to do something. Which is why, as a mediator, you should have an understanding of how all of this works. So, and the beauty about emotional intelligence is that it's almost like as much as as we may say it's a one size fits all. The concept of the concept of emotional intelligence where mediation is concerned might not necessarily be the concept where probably every other in other facets of life, which is why it's very important that when mediators want to go into emotional intelligence, I always advise them to, when mediators want to harness the beauty of emotional intelligence as far as mediation is concerned, I always try to advise them to make sure they are taught that by a mediator that understands the concept of emotional intelligence and mediation. So, in concluding, Vikram, before I allow Loretta speak, is that as the world is progressing, as we need to understand how important emotions are. Because you see, everybody you see is a bundle of emotions, is a bundle of trauma, is a bundle of they all have luggages they carry. And the luggages they carry, one way or the other, influences the way they think. Which is why, Vikram, the way you would react to a situation, if it has to be Anna would not react to the same situation. Why? Because both of you are different. A lot of times, people also need to understand that we are all products of our environment. We are all products of our community, and that is why in anything and everything you do, as the world, as one thing COVID did, the pandemic did in 2020 was to make the world more of a global village. Global village in the sense that in 2019, the word Zoom was just a word in the dictionary for me. But look at me right now. I'm here in Africa. Vikram is in India. Anna is in Europe, and we have people from all around the world watching us. So you see, one thing, another flavor of emotional intelligence is cultural sensitivity, understanding and perceiving the differences in culture and having an understanding of it. Vikram, it would interest you to know that if you were in Africa, I can't call you Vikram because you know why? It would be deemed disrespectful because Vikram with your white beard, white hair, Vikram will be like, if anyone see me calling you Vikram, they'll be like, wow, oh, Fola, you're so disrespectful. But you see, but because I understand cultural diversity and cultural sensitivity, I know Vikram will probably not mind if I'm on a first name basis with him. But Vikram, if it was a mediation session with someone your age here in Africa, if I decide to call the person by name, I've lost the session. He or she might not say anything, but the fact that he has already deemed me disrespectful would not make me be able to make that much impact. So the ability to know that when I'm speaking to people outside Africa and they don't mind me being on a first name basis with them is another level of emotional intelligence. The fact that I know that when I'm having a conversation, when I have to mediate between two sport lovers, maybe both of them are Man U fans, and I have to put on an Arsenal jersey, I know it's not going to be a good thing, you know. So it's really, really all about balance. It's all about awareness, and I'm happy Anna mentioned awareness. Self-awareness is key, Vikram. Self-awareness is key. Now, even down to the way I speak. If I'm probably having a conversation with Loretta alone, I'll be speaking very fast because I know Loretta will be able to understand what I'm saying. But if I'm outside here and I'm having conversations with other people, because I understand I have an accent, I have to slow down on what I'm saying for words to be picked up. So the backbone of emotional intelligence, apart from even self-awareness, is even first of all you even having an understanding of who you are. Because if I don't understand who I am, how then can I understand who you are? So I think I'm going to stop here and hear what Loretta has to say. Then we can now have a general conversation around this. Thank you so much, Vikram, for the opportunity.
Thank you, Paula, but only she's going to comment after I comment on this. You are calling me by first name because this is convenience. When he wants to call me by the first name, he's in India or Europe. Otherwise, he's sitting in Africa. He uses the online world so nicely. Look, I'm in India, I'm in Europe. I can say this, but in Africa, I won't be able to say it. So it's very nice.
So which means that Vikram, even if you come to Africa, and I'm probably going to introduce you to someone of your age, I'll probably be like, oh, okay, meet Mr. Vikram. Because you know what? If I go like meet Vikram, first you'll be like, okay. So if this young man is calling him Vikram, I think he's also going to call me by my first name too. So you see, context really, really matters in anything and everything that you do. So I guess you're right. Online, I can call you Vikram.
Yes. I'll give you an example. Like you have Ken. I call Ken Ken. But there is Mr. Panchu. He's a senior mediator in India. I always call him Mr. Panchu. I cannot call him by his first name. So that's the way. That's the cultural aspect of it. Whatever. So Loretta, please. Finally, you get a chance to speak, Loretta.
I'm laughing because the first time I had to call you, I actually covered my mouth because I wasn't really sure, So I understand everything my boss is saying. When we talk about the cultural shocks we experience in the various environments, it's not like we are trying to be dramatic, but that's what happens here because I remember.
Loretta, I think there is that wire is a little loose, so sometimes the voice becomes really low. That wire of
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Can you hear me now?
Perfect,
Am I audible?
Perfect.
Okay, that's fine. Okay. So I was talking about the cultural shocks and everything, the things we experience here. How just agreeing with what my boss said, you cannot just call someone by their first name because you are colleagues or you know them. So these are just things you have to learn, and it's part of emotional intelligence. When you know when to do something, when to say it, when not to say it, how to say it, or how to go about it. So that's just it. So Since we've discussed everything, I think Anna and my boss have mentioned everything I need to mention. I'm just going to talk about understanding the different personality types we have, that can help us be good mediators or have a successful mediation session. So it's very important for mediators or mediation advocates to understand the different personality types we have. This will just go a long way to help them manage the emotions of the parties involved and their own emotions. Sometimes as mediators, you see a case that is peculiar to what you are used to or something you've experienced before in the past. But you cannot just really put yourself in that person's shoes because you are the mediator and you are not allowed to do that. So with the help of emotional intelligence, there are ways you can maneuver. I don't want to use the word manipulate decisions, but there are ways you can influence certain decisions by using the personality types of different people. You understand? So I'm just going to mention a few. We have I've just outlined, I was going to share my slides, but everything there has the same thing, almost the same thing with what Anna and Mr. Fola has shared. So I'm just going to mention the personality types I've listed here. I mentioned the choleric, melancholic, the phlegmatic, and the sanguine. So knowing these different personality types, some persons will tell you, I'm hot-headed. Some will tell you, I am temperamental. I react to things easily. Some will tell you, I'm not outgoing. I'm an introvert. I'm an extrovert. It's just good for you to, pinpoint those emotions. It's easy to know if you are familiar with the personality types that are involved, So by the time you know that this person is someone who you cannot make pass jokes across, you are very careful with them. The things you say to them, they are very important. The things you don't even say to them, they are very important because they read body language, they read meanings to just trivial things that you can just do that will send wrong messages to them. So if you find someone like that in a mediation session, you know very well that you ought to be very careful with the words you utter or the things you say, because they might go back and tell you that, oh, this person was trying to, maneuver their way or influence the decision because they are trying to favor the other party. Anything you do may be misinterpreted. So it's very important for you to, be very careful by trying to understand the different personality types, by being self-aware of your your emotions. Once you are aware of your own emotions, it helps you recognize the emotions of other people in a mediation session or people who you are dealing with. It goes a long way because you already know that, oh, I'm someone who I'm very jovial, I'm the bubbling type, and then I'm someone who I'm introverted. You know all those things. So you already know that you are going out of character to come in, to be a mediator. You cannot carry your personal life to come to a mediation session because you don't know the person you're coming to meet. So it's very important for you to be self-aware of yourself. You regulate yourself, just have empathy, and have more of EQ rather than IQ. In Nigeria, or not just in Nigeria, but across the globe, but I'm mentioning Nigeria because we measure IQ more than EQ. Someone is very intelligent and you are telling them, oh, they can do this job, but they don't have emotional intelligence to handle the role you've given them, whether being in the workplace or say in a mediation session. If you don't have a high level of EQ, handling IQ may be very, very difficult for you. And I think with every other thing we've mentioned here, it's just very important to understand the personality types. I'm just going to stop here before I continue. I will listen to Anna and my boss as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Loretta. Anna, you want to something to say after you've heard Fola and Loretta? Is this yeah, okay, the phone, that's where it has to happen.
Switch on the sound on the another device, not correctly. Okay, what would like to say, emotional intelligence is such a thing which is, first of all, important in general in mediation and in the mediation process. First of all, emotional intelligence begins and starts from the mediator who conducts this or wants mediation process. So while using the mediator's emotional competence, emotional intelligence, the main mediator help the people who are the participants of the conflict or who are the participants of the mediation to grow their emotional intelligence. How does he do it? How can the mediator help the participants of the mediation to grow up their level of emotional intelligence? First of all, while working with the emotions and while working with the interests and needs, because unfortunately, most of the people began to conflict because of their emotions, because of their interests and needs, and because they don't understand their real emotions and interests and needs. In general, it is because of the not very high level of self-awareness, because they don't recognize what happened with them in their body, in their cognitive skills, and the conflicts happen. And with the help of the mediator, with the help of the mediator, who first of all speak about the emotions of the participants, who call their emotions and try to understand, correct them correctly, and who ask, do you feel angry now, for example, or do you feel fear now? And if the mediator says about these emotions correctly, and the participants say, yes, I feel angry because I don't understand how it is impossible to understand. I don't understand how it is impossible to understand, not to understand this. And when the participants begin to understand the emotions, and the backside of all the emotions are the interests and needs, then the participants of the mediation begin to understand their interests and needs. And in this moment, the transformation of the participants begins. Transformation in their mind, transformation in their communication. And while going step by step with the mediator, whom the participants of the conflict, do you hear me? Everything okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
And while using mediator, the participants begin to understand much more better each other, and begin to understand, first of all, begin to understand themselves, because everything starts from ourselves. And then next step, the participants of the conflict began to understand each other, hear each other, listen each other, understand, and their emotional intelligence, their self-awareness begin to grow up. So this is the main thing which continue during the mediation process, and the emotional intelligence and emotional qualification of the participants began to grow up. And of course, in each mediation process, I always say, and in my this communication and conversation in the Beautiful Mind, project of Vikram's beautiful project, I told that in each mediation process, I grow with the participants of the conflict. I grow as a professional. I grow with the participants. My emotional qualification, my emotional intelligence grows with other people, because the best way how to study, to learn something, it is necessary to do this with the help of other people.
Perfect. It's really nice. So, Fola, I think what we have to do, we kind of conclude kind of thing. We'll have to wrap up because of the next session we start. So, what would you want to, just a message? First of all, we're all, the theme is also Mediation Vision 2026. So, what is your futuristic message in relation to emotional intelligence?
Well, just like how I strongly believe that in the not too distant future, mediation is going to be the next is going to be the future of dispute resolution. That's also how I see emotional intelligence being a part of everything. Because you see,
Mhm.
one thing emotional intelligence, how you will know a mediator that is emotionally intelligent is that he doesn't, the mediator looks beyond the merit of the case. What he looks at again is he looks at the principle behind the case. He looks at the fact that okay, fine, even though parties are shifting positions, are they shifting positions because they understand why they're shifting positions, or are they shifting positions because they feel there must be a settlement? You see, it's really, really very important to understand this because for some mediators, it's always all about, oh, I settled. You settled, but are the parties actually settled? The parties, do they have an understanding of why they have to shift position? So, in concluding, I see a scenario where emotional intelligence will be one of the basic prerequisites for being a good mediator. In fact, I see a scenario where in the not too distant future, having an emotional intelligence certification might also be one of the basic requirements. And that's all I really have to say. Thank you.
But Fola, the thing is
Mhm.
that we've been saying that mediation is the future of dispute resolution. Now, what I
It
say
is the
is,
future of
no, what I
dispute
now
resolution.
say is mediation is the future of dispute resolution, and the future is here. That's what I say now.
Well, you know why you know why I may slightly beg to differ is that if we look at what we're doing right now, Vikram, we're spending so much time trying to make people understand the benefits of mediation. So it's one thing for you to have an understanding of the benefit of mediation. It's another thing for you to be able to apply mediation. If in 2022 we are still trying to make people understand that mediation is not here to supplant maybe arbitration or litigation, but it's here to supplement it, then you can see that we still have a long way to go. If not for anything at all, if every area of dispute resolution see mediation as a first port of call before they take any step at all, trust me, more than 70% of the dispute you have will be resolved. Imagine a scenario where before you go to arbitration, mediation is kind of made compulsory. Or before you go into litigation, mediation is kind of made compulsory. And mediation is like a one size fits all. So that's why I think the future, rather than saying the future is here, I would say that the future is around the corner.
Okay,
We can see it, but we're not there yet.
perfect. So
Yeah,
Loretta, we
thank you.
have we have Loretta, we have what, maybe 30 seconds kind of a situation because next one has to start on time. So you want to wrap up kind of thing? Hi, Andre. We'll we'll get you in just a minute. We're just wrapping up this. So I'll
Okay,
introduce you
okay,
to
that's
everyone
fine.
after this. Yeah, Loretta.
Okay. So, emotional intelligence right now, it's everywhere because I'll just take it out of mediation a bit. When we had this whole issue about horrible bosses and employees, we found out that a lot of leaders don't have enough level, or let's say a high level of emotional intelligence, and that's what makes everything difficult for them to manage their emotions even at the workplace. So bringing it back to mediation right now, like Mr. Fola said, it will be one of the prerequisites for becoming a mediator. So, and also a mediation advocate, because not just mediation advocates also play like a very big role in making sure that their clients are well attended to. So let's say right now it's happening because if you go through the Institute of Chartered Mediators and Conciliators, they have these courses too in on emotional intelligence. After you take your training, you also have courses to take on emotional intelligence, family disputes, and everything like that. So it's already here, and the future has caught up with us. We are already living in the future. I remember how difficult it was to, talk about mediation in the past, but right now, everybody is comfortable with mediation right now. People are beginning to know. Even lawyers that were so adamant about mediation already know, because with the help of emotional intelligence, you have to work on their emotions, make them understand, see reasons with everything you are discussing with them, for them to accept what you are saying. You can't force them to embrace mediation, but you can influence them by the way you do certain things. When you settle your issues, your disputes within 5 days, they are asking you, I spent this whole this same amounts of, for this same case, I spent like 5 months trying to resolve this dispute. How were you able to do it for 5 days? And by that, they are interested. So you talk to them, you walk them through the process and help them understand that, okay, that's it. So I think we're already living in the future. Thank you very much. Thank you, my boss. Thank you, Mr. Fola. Thank you, Anna. Thank you, Mr.
So
Vikram.
Anna,
Thank you.
thank you very much. And let me just thank all of you right now. We'll just start Henry's session and then we'll continue the conversation there, because like I said, I always have to start them on time, because social media otherwise understands that as a cancelled event. So thank you very much. We'll continue the conversation. Don't have to go anywhere. We'll just continue the conversation. So thank you very much, Fola, Anna,
Thanks so
Loretta,
much.
and hi
Thank
Henry.
you very
So I'll
much,
just
dear
Thank
colleagues.
you. Thank you very
I look
much.